Good afternoon, everybody. So, I don't know, I think it's been a little while. I don't completely, well, I have a lot to talk about, but I don't completely know what to talk about, so I'm just gonna dive right in, right? Alright, so, since the tournament, I haven't really been playing the server anymore. And if you don't already know this, that encompassed a pretty large portion of my time. So, someone asked me, what the heck am I going to do with all that time if I'm not playing the server anymore? Well, I'm going to tell you. So, for some reason, it's something I always wanted to do, but never did it because by the time I had any level of freedom, I was kind of old for trick-or-treating. So, I decided I wanted to make my own costume. Now, I always wanted to do, I always wanted to be a drunken boxer, but that was back when I was, kind of ripped and, could walk around in Halloween wearing hardly any kind of shirt, and I wouldn't get that cold, and, I wouldn't look like a blubbery mess. Not that I really look like a blubbery mess now, but it's far from anything I'd want to see. So yeah. So I kind of scrapped that idea. A few reasons. One, I wanted to make a staff with feathers and a gourd bottle and fill it with actual alcohol so I could actually drink while I walked around. And I wanted to do a kind of a traditional kind of I don't know what you call them. I'm not very versed in the actual culture. I just like the drunken boxer. So I wanted to make a traditional outfit that a martial artist would wear then, but I kind of wanted to Hollywood it up a bit to make it a little bit more stand out a bit. Throw on some feathers, maybe some sort of sash or something. I had some thoughts. I had some ideas. But after thinking about it a little bit and looking at all the various supplies I got, I picked up a mask at Goodwill that was supposed to light up, and it did not light up. So I got rid of I took the lights out of it, and I put aged looking rope, kind of like jute rope, jute fiber twine, through the eye holes and the stitching in the mouth, to give it kind of an aged look. And I'm making my own yarn wig, which I went in completely blind to doing this. And then I looked at, I decided to look it up because after I was 5 hours deep, I was like, there's got to be an easier way. By that point, it was already too late, but I was bored and YouTube been letting me down, so I googled, how to fray yarn, how to make a yarn wig, all that kind of nonsense. And I saw some dude do it. I can't remember his name. He's ridiculously flamboyant, I don't know if it's an act or what, but, dude's loud and proud about it. And then, that's him, whatever floats his boat. He's good at what he does, so I don't really care. I looked at how he made a wig, and, his method, which is probably the right method, is probably, the actual method of making them, was, so much quicker than mine, because he would, glue, 100 yarn pieces in, a strip, and then just place them with more hot glue, and it would cling to the fibers, so you wouldn't have to worry about it too much. Now, I don't know if this would work for me anyway, because I intended to brush it out to make it look kind of matted and frizzy. So I don't know if the glue would hold, trying to, force the fibers apart. But that's not here nor there, because I did it a long way. Arguably, for my purpose, the better way. But not saying anything bad about him, because his finished product was way better than what mine's gonna be. But, when you do it professionally, compared to somebody that just picks up a needle and thread, So, I've been making my own yarn wig. long story short. And instead of doing like the lining them up and gluing them together, I've been painstakingly sewing threads into an old beanie that I don't like. It's just a little tight for my head. So I was like, I'll just sacrifice it for a yarn wig. And that was a good idea, but I didn't completely compensate for the stretching because I don't have like a styrofoam head like people do. So I tried to just sew the fibers in, sew the yarn through as close as humanly possible, and hope for the best. And I got like, it took about 3/4 of a skein of yarn before I tried it on, and it looked okay, but I could still see gaps and stuff. So I was like, okay, how can I do this? So I was looking up like how to do like the seam or the part in the hair, and I decided to do it my way anyway. So so instead of like just adding more and more yarn, I put it on and kind of like memorized the parts that needed more yarn and just kind of put my own like part in it. So I think it's looking good so far. Let's put it that way. It still needs about, I don't know, 100 more yards of cord and probably another hour of work, and then probably 3 hours of brushing it. But it'll be done way before Halloween, which is great, because then I gotta move on to the mask. The mask I already sewed fibers into, but I was thinking to, so I can actually see out of the mask, I got an old pair of glasses. And the old pair of glasses, the prescription's a little off, but I can see way better than without them. So, but they're a plastic frame like this, so I can't just take the lenses out. So I looked up when my next eye doctor's appointment was, and it's 1st of January, I think, or the end of January. It's January something. So I was like, okay, so before this whole springtime departure happens, I'll have one more eye appointment, which means I'll get one more pair of glasses. So then these could be my backup, and I'll have a brand new pair in January. So if I sacrifice these glasses, as long as I don't do anything incredibly stupid between, now and January, it'll be okay. So I'm going to take the Dremel tool, because I couldn't pop the lenses out, and I was afraid of breaking the lenses. So I'm going to take the Dremel tool and saw through the plastic and pull the lenses out. And then I'm going to hot glue the lenses to the eye holes as perfectly as possible so that I can see out of the mask. Now, I already contemplated the next problem of, my breath being, hot and wet, and it being cold outside. They're going to fog up. So I heard some things about like shaving cream and stuff, but I also took into consideration of putting like a mouthpiece in the mask. So I put the mask on, put the mouthpiece in, breathe, and it'll go out instead of in. We're gonna see how the lens thing turns out tonight. So that's kind of what I've been kind of been working on. Now that only encompasses probably 8 to 10 hours so far. So it's not like that took up a ton of time, but I also been grocery shopping and cooking and doing minor little cleaning jobs here and there. So that encompassed a good bit more time. Now, I also picked up a pumpkin. I have an idea. I plan to carve a pumpkin. Like I said, Halloween's my favorite holiday of the year. All the other holidays can cease to exist, and we could have Halloween every month, and I'd be completely happy with it. So, I'm going to carve a jack-o'-lantern this year, which I don't usually do, because, it's kind of dumb. Like, to me, it's kind of dumb. But I had an idea, and here's my idea. If you notice the fish light that I use sometimes, it's a fake light bulb that can go solid green, less bright solid green, and then flash. And it takes a single AA battery. So, my idea is I'm either going to do one of two things. I'm going to drill a hole in the side of it and take a USB cord and solder the positive and negatives to the battery components and plug it in so that it runs off of electricity. Fun fact, I think most USB cords are 1.5 volts, and a AA battery is also 1.5 volts. So it should theoretically work. If I decide not to do that because I don't want to sacrifice my light if I make a mistake, I have rechargeable AA batteries. So it's easier, simpler, but I've been kind of wanting to hook up a USB cord to that thing for a long time so the fish can have a constant light and I don't have to worry about recharging the batteries all the time. So we'll see how that works out. Now the pumpkin itself, I'm going to do a cliche skull. And I'm not going to like cut it into the pumpkin. I'm going to use a drill. And I'm going to try to drill holes to do like a dot-to-dot thing. To outline the skull and all its features. And then have the light inside, strobing, so that the light shines through the holes. And you can see the whole skull thing. The only thing that I might carve out is like what do they call the colored part of the eye? It's not the iris, is it? Yeah, it's the pupil and the iris, I think. So the iris of the eye I might carve out, and then there's a little triangle between the skull and the jaw that I might carve out. I don't really know if I'm going to do that or not, but I think I'm going to use 3 different size drill bits. I'm going to use the smallest drill bit for the inner detail, a slightly larger drill bit for the outline, and then a really big drill bit to chain the light through the top, and for the ear hole. That's the plan. And I might do something to get fancy and like, well, that's how far I got so far. And after see if I do it without messing it up, then we'll go from there. That's the next plan. I've been kind of mapping it out. I drew my, one of the things I did with this extra time I got is I drew the skull for the pumpkin freehand because, well, I didn't want to use the printer and it's more personal that way. While I was doing this, I had to get up early that day to do grocery shopping, so I picked up the pumpkin and I got back to the house and it was like, I got up at like 8 in the morning and was like shopping till almost 2 in the afternoon or something. So I kind of just wanted to lounge around a bit, so I actually drew a metal version, a steel type evolution. And then I watched some dude's video, and he's a professional artist, and he drew a metal type evolution. He drew his first, so, you know, that makes me look like I'm copying him. But the way I did a 2-form evolution, where it was like, I drew one evolution with like hard steel plates, and I drew one evolution like melting like mercury. There's supposed to be 2 forms. You could evolve it from an Eevee. One could be a defensive form. One would be a speeding, attacking form. That was the theory. His Metallion and my, what did I call it? What the heck did I call it? I don't remember. There was the Quicksilver form, and then I did like the Iron Plate form or something. The Iron Plate form that was supposed to be more defensive looked remarkably like his, except mine was, you know, rough and a doodle, and his was, you know, professionally done for YouTube standards or whatever. So that made me a bit upset because I thought it was like kind of a cool idea, but I guess in retrospect, there's only so many ways you could draw a metal Eevee. So, no, that's not true. Even the way he drew his plates were like mine. So it makes me feel like if I went and posted it now, people would just be like, oh, you copied this guy because he did his first, but I didn't know it existed until, you know, a day after I did mine. So I don't know. I'll probably end up posting pictures of some of this stuff. Maybe not at the end of this video, but the end of the next one. I cleaned out all the tomato plants. I cleaned out all the pepper plants today. I made hot dog relish, like my aunt did, except mine's different because I just winged it. It's good, except I added about, now you know I don't measure stuff, but I added approximately a teaspoon and a half of cayenne pepper, and it really comes through. Like, it was really kind of spicy, like eating a spoonful of it, like not on a sandwich. I made burgers today and tried it on burgers, and it was very good, but I have the opposite argument, that when I took a spoonful of it, it was too much of a pop. It was too much of a, super flavor, craziness. But when I put it on a sandwich, it really wasn't. It was like, I don't want to say bland, but too bland for a sandwich. Like, it could have used more of a kick. So, I don't know, maybe I underdid it. And I just thought I overdid it because you're not supposed to eat relish with a spoon. But, yeah, no. So this is going to be a bit of a longer one. I'm taking a little bit of the longer way around because the gate was open when I came in here. So there are probably still workers lurking around here somewhere. And I want to avoid any kind of trouble. What else is there? So I talked about, like, I've been kind of discussing how I disagree with the way the world's run and how some people hold too much power, too much money. Some people just have so much more than what they need, and others, don't. So, I wanted to talk about, I'm going to use Mr. Beast as an example. Not because I have anything personally against him, just not a huge fan when you really think about it. So, I could use just about anybody as an example, just he's like, most people know who he is, so it's easier for me to use him as an example. So I mentioned him about, spending so much money on a YouTube video. I wanted to kind of elaborate a little bit. So, when there was, like, Team Trees and the ocean cleanup thing that he was doing, and he was asking for money to help with the project, which, I don't expect him to pay for it himself. I don't expect him to, like, cut an entire check for the whole project all himself, because everybody made that mess. It's something to benefit everybody. I don't really expect that, but you would think that he would be more interested in finding workers than the money. And hear me out, because it doesn't matter how much money you have to do a project if you don't have people to, actually do the project. So, and it would also benefit the world in another way, because you'd be giving people that don't have jobs a job, whether it be temporary or not. So, that always kind of, that was one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. This here multi-million-dollar super YouTube dude is hosting these big, huge projects that may or may not be happening, and asking for, like, a GoFundMe page. Like, that's how the rich stay rich, Like, I would gladly... Here's the thing. I don't have money to donate, even if I was willing to subject myself to a potential scam. I don't have the money to donate. What I do have is some common sense and base knowledge, and the will and drive to want to better the world. Oh, well, for now, until that's beaten out of me, too. So, I could easily carry, crates of trees or move pallets of trees, or dig holes for trees, or, net garbage out of an ocean. But he wants money. That's kind of weird, It's kind of weird. Another thing is, when he does those blocks of cash thing, that was like one of the example videos. He does like blocks of cash, and last person to take their hand off it, or some little game. Why do you think he chooses other YouTubers or other influencers to be on there? He does it because it's going to boost views to get some of that money back. That's not exactly wrong, in my opinion. That's actually intelligent. That's smart. That's how the rich stay rich. So, but the problem that does get me is, he has $1 million in a glass box. He has 10 people, or 5 people, or whatever, that are already famous on YouTube, making a decent living, competing for this money. Why? Wouldn't it be more beneficial if you found, 100 people that are trying to better their lives? Find 100 people that are working to try to get somewhere? Find 100 people to... Thought I heard something. Find 100 people that, want to better themselves. And do, 10 of these events with $100K each. $100,000 each. Because there you go. You'd have 100 people that would be motivated to play your little game. Because they need it. Instead of just, trying to boost their views from being on a Mr. Beast episode. He's making people that already have money have more money. And by using those people, he boosts their YouTube career and his own. If he was really out to help people, why wouldn't he get 100 homeless guys and give them each 100,000, or have 10 competitions, or 10 competitions with 100 guys, 10 people on each box, and each box having $100,000. That would change lives. That would boost the economy. But I guess it'd be different because it ain't my money, right? But that's just how I say, people get blinded by, oh, look at the great things these people are doing. Look at the great things these people... No, they're not doing great things. They're cycling the money in their own community to, boost their own egos. Did Team Trees happen? Maybe, probably. Is it going to benefit the world? Maybe, probably. But, I after ad revenue and all the donations, I don't think he fronted all as much money as it's led on. Same with the ocean thing, with all the people advertising for it, all the GoFundMes and all that nonsense. Does it benefit the world? Yeah. But if he would have took 1,000 people looking for work, told them they get minimum wage to help on this goodwill project, or work out some sort of living arrangement on the ships where they get 3 hots and a cot plus a check upon completion, he could really change lives, right here and now. Instead of, oh, I'm cleaning up the ocean, send me your money, he could literally change lives in real time. It just astounds me. It astounds me. I don't know. Maybe if he went with my method, he'd have a bunch of ill-prepared people on a boat, screwing off, and then, you know, a bunch of knifings at a box of cash because all the meth addicts want to win, so they start stabbing each other. I don't know. Alright. If he has the money and the staff he claims to have, he could do a little bit of digging and select people and actually make a real difference. Like, if he got a list of companies that were laying off, find the guys that have families or the women that have families. Be like, hey, I heard about the recent, blow to your financial situation. I'm holding this competition. It'll be, 7 days of your life for a chance to win $100,000 or something. Like, all you got to do is travel here and, place your hand on a box. Or you can even pay for the travel, considering how much he pays to, rent out a football stadium. And actually change people's lives, rather than just boosting his views and circulating the money within the same community. I might have some of this idealist thought comes from, I recently watched that Justin Timberlake movie with the time on his arm. Apparently it was free on YouTube for who knows how long, and it was something I wanted to see when it came out, but I wasn't interested enough to go buy it or go to the movies. But then I saw it on YouTube and I was like, hey, I wanted to see that 1,000 years ago. So I watched that, and it kind of reminds me a lot of life today. Yeah, we don't have a literal expiration date. We don't have the chance of immortality, but the power stays with the power, and it just hardly ever, it doesn't seem to really fluctuate. There's something seriously wrong with the world. Alright. I need to drink some more water. Alright, we're almost to the public trail, so I'm probably not going to talk when I get on the public trail, because if there's nobody there, I'd be highly shocked. It's actually, a really good day to walk. So, although I've said that before, I didn't see a soul, but I figured I'd give this I'd give this video a proper outro. I did forget a couple of things. I went and, I was waiting for my brother to show up with more groceries, because we went grocery shopping and got more groceries. And while I was waiting for him to show up, I went and was taking, my weed whacker exploded. I mentioned that before. So I was taking some hedge clippers, and I was getting rid of some of the bigger junk that I couldn't weed whack down. And I decided to shape up the wall. I have a wall in front of my house. It has, stones coming out of it. It kind of remind you of, a stegosaurus back. And it has different kinds of vines going through it. One type of the vine... Oh, there's a dead mouse. That's sad. One type of the vine is supposed to be there. The other type, not so much. So I went and cleaned all of the other vine out, and that took a bit of time, to be honest, because the wall isn't small, but it was just so overgrown, because nobody ever did it. It was just me, so it was just, I probably removed easily 80 pounds of vines. I threw them up in the old garden so I can run them over the lawnmower, make some, let them decompose up there and put more nutrients in that soil. Yeah, so that was something. It looks better, I guess, but at the same time, it really kind of doesn't, because now there's bare patches on the wall where vines used to be, and the good vine is hanging over in other places. So it's kind of, I don't know, it was a way to kill some time. There was something else too, and I doubly forgot. I forgot it twice. So yeah. I'll probably remember after I'm done talking. It is what it is. There's a deer. Probably can't see it that far away. Just ran across the river. There's the good view before the end of this. Thanks for watching, guys. And just some more stuff to think about. Why the world is the way it is. It's like, I don't know. Thanks for watching. And unless I come up with another rant, I will catch you next time. As expected, we're almost at the end. Not a soul. But actually, that's contrary to what I expected, but kind of what I expected. I want to take this time to go over my hot dog relish recipe. So I used about equal parts peppers and green tomatoes. Roughly, 3 cups of each, maybe. 2 medium-sized purple onions, because purple onions are the best. Anybody tells you otherwise, they are a liar. About a cup of apple cider vinegar, about a half cup of honey, about a half cup of packed brown sugar, about a teaspoon and a half of cayenne pepper, about a teaspoon and a half of garlic powder. I used about 4 tablespoons of cornstarch and 1 pack of gelatin, because I didn't want it to be soaking through my bread. Alright, so if I eat it on a bun, I eat it on a wrap or a sandwich, I didn't want it running off, and I didn't want it to be I just didn't want it to be way too liquidy. I didn't want it to turn into Jell-O either, but 1 pack of gelatin does 1 cup of Jell-O. And there was roughly a quart of liquid, so it thickened it up real nice with the cornstarch. I would give it, depending on what you use it for. If you use it for hot dogs and stuff, I don't like hot dogs, but if you use it for hot dogs and stuff, okay, if you ate it plain, if you ate it with a spoon like how I tried it, I would give it a 5. But if you eat it on a sandwich of some sort, whether it be ham and relish, a cheeseburger, a hot dog, I'd maybe give it a low 7. I wasn't overly impressed, but I did have an idea. I was thinking of getting breaded chicken tenders and coating it in the relish. And I think that would be the best sweet and sour chicken on this side of the planet. So I'll let you guys know how that turns out. But that's my rough estimate of my relish. It was just green tomatoes. I used a yellow, a red, an orange, and 2 smaller green peppers that I grew myself to make the bulk of it, and 2 purple onions. I did let it drain for a few hours, because like I said, I didn't want it to be overly soupy, so it turned out very nice. It's not Jell-O. I would almost say the best consistency I could go with is gravy. So I'll let you guys know if I make chicken with it. Later.